Hey everybody, welcome to Woodchat for August 20th, 2014. I'm Matt Gradwell from Uppercut Woodworks. You can find me over at uppercutwoodworks.com or on Twitter at uppercutwood. If you are watching the video and you want to follow along on the chat, head over to uppercutwoodworks.com/woodchat/chat room, and you can see the video and follow along with the text chat all at the same time. Scott Meek is not going to make it with us tonight, but as always, Chris Wong is here from Port Moody. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm trying to get caught up on sleep these days.
Caught up on sleep, yeah, busy. I don't know what's with the summer months about being so busy. It's supposed to be laid back. Not the case.
It's not been laid back.
Yeah, it's been ridiculously busy around here too. Yeah. Anyhow, to introduce myself, Chris Wong here from Flair Woodworks in Port Moody, BC. And you can follow me on Twitter at Flair Woodworks, and check out my website, my work, and my awesome blog at flairwoodworks.com, F-L-A-I-R. That's where you also find the home of Woodchat's picture inspiration game, which we'll dig a little bit deeper into today. If anybody has created or drawn a design based on last week's image, which was a valet, based on Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water famous design. That is our inspiration picture for this week, and I've got a design based on that, which I'll share with you in a little bit. If anybody else has one, by all means share it with us, either through Twitter, just include the hashtag Woodchat, or else you can email it directly to me, Chris at flairwoodworks.com. So Matt, where do you want to start tonight?
Why don't we start with? Well, you tell me. Well, I'm fine. We can talk about doors, or we can talk about the picture inspiration design game. You have a picture, right? Why don't we start with the doors?
Okay, sure. We'll see if anybody else has a design that they
want to share with us. Go get your designs ready. We're gonna talk about cabinet doors for a while. So.
Okay, so Matt, I saw that you, this week, you were building doors. That's how we kind of got to this subject here.
Yeah, so what happened was I had a couple contact me. They were remodeling their kitchen, and they had 2 cabinets up above with an open space for a microwave below, and they wanted doors that would now go all the way down over that space where the microwave was, because they weren't going to use that for microwave anymore, and I had to make doors that matched their existing doors exactly, and they were going to put glass in those doors. So
okay.
It was fun because it gave me a chance to buy and use for the first time one of those matched cabinet door sets, router bit sets.
Oh yeah, the cope and stick.
Yep.
Where you get opposing profiles and route them. Okay.
Yep. And so that was fun, and I made a good contact at a company called Interior Woodworking Specialty in the same town that they build they'll do the cabinetry for like a cafeteria or a reception area at a company. They do really big stuff. They have a couple CNCs, and I mean, I walked into their place and I was like, I couldn't fathom how much money they had spent on equipment, but that's where I got the wood. So anyway, I'll screen share some photos here.
They've got some amazing CNC technology out there now. I don't know if you're up to speed on it.
These guys have 2.
Okay. They've got some CNCs that according to the literature, will actually grain match material.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they don't need a CNC programmer. It's got a super easy user interface for them. It's just.
Well, this guy didn't have that. He was pretty upset. His CNC was supposed to be up and running. His new CNC was supposed to be up and running in March, and it wasn't yet. So.
Oh well, that's a lot of expensive downtime.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a cutaway of one of their existing doors, just to show how the corner was made, and I use this to do things like match the router profile and things like that. And he had given me some wood. That came from other cabinet doors that we thought I could reuse to make these cabinet doors, but that didn't work out. The interesting thing was that panel was brad nailed in.
Okay.
So,
From the back, maybe?
from the back, yeah. So,
What was that last picture there, Matt?
well, I'll show you there in a second. So if you can see, this is where the stub tenon goes in cope and stick.
Yep.
And it's not very deep, and this back side is not very thick.
Mm-hmm. So,
And this is what can happen with these short stub tenons.
if you want to go back a second, Matt, I just want to explain what cope and stick is for everybody in case they're not aware. So in Matt's screen, you've got the end grain of one piece coming towards you. Obviously, the door is cut up. So you see the panel, then the rail is the one that's cut with the end grain facing us, and the stile is the vertical part that goes up and down. Am I got that right or that backwards, Matt?
This is the stile. This here is the stile, right?
Okay, I can't see your mouse there.
And then, well,
with the end grain towards us, is that the rail or the stile? That's the rail, isn't it?
no, the rails are horizontal.
Yes, but
And so this
one always crosses the other. It's usually the rail that crosses the stile. Am I wrong in that?
my understanding is that the rails in a door are horizontal and the stiles go top to bottom.
Yes. Yeah, the rails. When I think of that railing, they go horizontal more or less, and stiles are the other one.
Yeah.
But
so that's the stile on the left because that goes top to bottom.
Okay.
Because the I'll show you.
I don't have a picture. I'm looking around and trying to look around. There's no rail and style doors, no frame and panel doors around me here that I can look at. So I'm just going to pull up a picture on it.
Here's a good picture. Here, I've got one now. I'll show you.
Okay.
Hold on. I just saved it. Where did it go? Hold on.
Yeah, this looks right here. I've got a picture here. There's a lot. I get a lot of questions about door construction and why it's done a certain way. So you've got your rails being bordered, if you will, by the stiles, right? The stiles go all the way top to bottom, and the rails run into the stiles rather than the other way around.
Like this.
Yes, and that's a good picture there. So the rails are the shorter pieces, the stiles are the long ones. The rails are sandwiched by the stiles. That's the point that I wanted to get across. And this is a good picture, Matt, if you can leave it up here. So in the matched set of rotor bits, you get two bits which are, they fit together perfectly. They mesh together like this here.
Yeah, one cuts the profile, one cuts the cope.
Yeah, so the sticking, or the first one here, cuts the profile along here, and then the other one cuts the inverse profile into your rail, and then the two pieces slide together, and it gives you lots of glue surface. And your stub tenon is this little strip in the middle here. And as Matt pointed out, if you ever cut a Morrison tenon or seen one, you probably recognize the tenon as being usually considerably longer than that, usually at least an inch, maybe an inch and a half or longer. And this one's only about 3/8 of an inch long. So you don't have nearly the same strength with the stub tenon versus a real tenon. So that's one of the downsides of that construction, but it is very quick, and the panel also gives it a great deal of extra strength.
Especially when the panel's nailed in like these were, but the panels that were going to be in the doors I was building were glass.
Right.
So we weren't really going to be nailing those in.
Don't recommend that.
Here's another picture that's a good one. I think it's from the same website. So anyway, I got to buy one of those sets and build the doors. But I really didn't like the fact that that little stub tenon was so short.
Okay, right. And especially because you have glass, if there's any flex in there.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is what can happen when the stub tenon is too short and the door is too much. You can see that this one has just pulled right out.
Is this a picture that you took?
This is a picture of cabinets, the base cabinet under my stove,
Okay.
In my new house that my father-in-law broke.
Okay. So this
Uh,
isn't some crazy internet example. This is something that can happen to real people.
yeah, this is real. So what I decided to do, sorry, was you can see
Ah,
I have a 4-inch oak dowel that goes through the stile into the rail.
okay. That's a pretty simple way of reinforcing it.
Yeah, and just one in each corner. I wasn't worried about having two.
Hmm.
And another kind of picture of that. You can even see on here how the rail is coped into the stile. And then when that was dry, I trimmed those off on the bandsaw. And let's see, and that's what they turned out like.
Very nice.
And then because he's putting glass in, um, I had to take the back off the groove.
Okay. Yep.
Um, and so I just did that with a rabbiting bit on the router table
Mhm.
and let the bearing run along the interior profile. And it took it off, and then I just used the chisel to clean up the corners.
Hmm.
Turned out good. So you can't see, let's see, is there a shot? You can almost see, oh, that looks wavy for some reason. You can almost see the dowel going in right here. So, but that was a
Yeah.
quick job.
Hmm.
And I got to buy that matched router bit set.
Hmm.
So
How was setup for you with those bits, Matt?
easy. It was really, really easy because I used here. I used this. So this is the piece. I just took this with me when I went and bought the router bit.
Okay.
Um, but I used this basically as my setup block.
Hmm.
And then I did all the profile, right? And then when I was done, and I did a test piece, and then when I was done, I put in the coping bit and did a couple tests, and it was great. It was super, super easy. So I didn't have one of those coping sleds that you can buy where you clamp down the piece you're going to cope and stuff like that. Um, but everything, and I did everything in a couple passes to make sure it was nice and clean.
Okay.
But it was really, really easy to use.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I find when using the coping stick, I like to do one pass at full depth and try and get as much as I can, but then I do a second cleanup pass. And if the material bumped or shifted or got caught on some dust or anything, that second cut will ensure it's a nice clean cut.
so here's the risk of doing that. Um, if you route twice at full depth,
Uh,
meaning
I know
meaning
we
the
know this.
fence is like the first time I did it, I pulled the fence back, so I'm not going full depth.
Yep.
Then I set it to full depth and did it. If you route twice at full depth, you're in jeopardy of having a loose joint. So it's best to try and route once at full depth, but make sure you have
Oh yeah.
feather boards holding the piece down into the fence, because otherwise you end up with a gappy joint that's very, very loose, and then you have glue up problems. So, and I learned that on the test pieces.
Hmm. I've
So,
never. Yeah. Okay. That's a fair point. If you don't feed it across the same way both times, then
yeah.
you're opening yourself up for an opened joint. And when you're doing that cross grain one for the coping cut in the end of the rails, make sure you have a backer block for that too.
Yep, absolutely have a backer block. Matter of fact, when I was doing the coping, what I did was I routed a piece with the profile and put that. Is that what I did? Yeah, so that I could put it in my fence. Sorry,
Hmm.
is this making sense?
Yeah, I more
I
or
made
less
it
get
so
you.
that the two pieces fit together.
Yeah, so it backs it up fully.
So that when I took it across the router bit, all of these fibers were supported by this because it was a perfect mating edge,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that worked out really, really well. I didn't have a lot of tear out. And then I
So
didn't do the profile around the edge of the outside of the door until the whole thing was done.
hmm
So
yeah, yeah.
Scott says, "Oh, Matt, the Festival Domino is great for strengthening those joints." And I said, "Yeah, but my dowel was $5. A domino would have been, hundreds of dollars."
Yeah, but your drill press
Um,
cost hundreds of dollars too.
what's that?
Your drill press cost hundreds of dollars as well.
I didn't use my drill press.
Oh, okay, fine.
I used a drill with a $20 doweling
All
guide.
right.
Yeah.
I guess that we should also point out that you're running the sticking profile along the full length inside of the rails, as well as the stiles.
Yeah, you do this. You do the sticking on everything,
Yeah, on the inside edges
on
of
the
everything.
inside of everything, and then you do the coping on the ends of the rails.
The rails only. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the tricks, one of the difficult parts about that, doing the coping on the ends of the rails, if they're narrow especially, which they often are, is holding it perpendicular to the fence. How did you address that, Matt?
Oh, you mean to do the coping?
Yeah, to guide the
Oh,
narrow rail across the
I
fence.
got a piece of 1/4 inch plywood and I um, screwed a fence onto it that was 90 degrees, and I held it on the little fence.
So you push the sled.
I made a cheap throwaway sled.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to go.
So
That's great because your piece is actually on the sled. The sled is providing good support, and it's not
yep,
moving up and down.
yep,
The other way I've done, which is a little bit lazier, a little bit quicker and easier, is just get a square piece of material, roughly the same thickness as my rail stock, usually a 3/4 inch piece of plywood, with 2 square corners. And I mark those 2 corners, and I put one of those edges against the fence, and I butt my other material against that adjacent face, which is also square. And my piece of plywood is maybe about 8 inches square. And I just screw on a cabinet handle there. So I have a big, wide push block that's square. Helps me guide the rail across safely and consistently.
so you just do basically a block behind there.
Yep, big block.
Yeah, I was gonna do the block, but I really wanted to have it ride a sled.
Yeah, the sled's a good idea. Yeah.
And I literally went to the scrap pile and I went, that looks like a good piece of wood, and that looks like a flat piece of 1/4 inch. And I went, bam, bam, bam. I just did it.
Yeah.
It worked out really, really well.
Yeah.
Jeremy Morgan just used,
Yeah.
just did a very similar thing.
I've got a picture up here, Matt.
Oh yeah, yes you do. Yes.
I was on my way to doing that. Yeah. So
It looks like there's two. It looks like there's a mirror and a door.
yeah.
That's cool.
So he's telling us about this one door which he built to cover an access panel in the laundry room.
Yeah.
And that's something I've seen actually more than a few times. You've got an ugly utility panel or something, and you want to hide it, so you cover it with a door. In one of the seminars that I've taught, it's actually on making rail and style doors. The class project is to build one door. So we built a door maybe, I don't know, 10 by 12 inches or something like that, and at the end of the class you have a door. And inevitably, I've taught this a few times, we always end up talking about, okay, I've got a door, what do I do with one door?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the most popular solution so far is to attach hinges and mount it to a wall of your shop. Then people will come in and see one door and say, what's behind that door? And then you just
Have there be nothing behind there?
have a look. And then you open it and there's some goofy sign or something behind there.
Just get a little, the nothing machine that as soon as you turn it on, it reaches out and turns itself off.
Yeah, yeah.
Make one where when you open the door, a little like doll just grabs the door and closes it.
That'd be cool. Or you can just stand behind it.
So everybody really wants me to use a domino to reinforce those joints, and if I'm not willing to buy a domino, they want me to build a domino. What's everybody got against a $5 oak dowel and a drill bit?
It's too simple, Matt.
Worked really well.
Yeah.
Customer liked it. Looks cool. I don't know what I broke by not using a domino. I'm sorry.
Well, at least you use pocket holes, right, Matt?
No.
I'm only joking.
I saw a pocket hole kit when I was buying the routers, and I was thinking, maybe, and then I slapped myself and said no.
Yeah. Yeah. Dowels, if they're... Now, what kind of wood do you use for the frame? Was that also oak?
Alder.
Alder, okay. So you had to... Okay. Why'd you choose an oak dowel? I'm curious about that.
Because it was hard.
Okay. Didn't have much selection here.
And because it was there, and I went...
Okay, all right. Yeah, alder probably wouldn't be the best choice for a dowel.
Nah.
Oak's good because it's fairly elastic. It's not likely to break when you're hammering it in.
Yeah.
My only issue that I could raise or complain about using an oak dowel is that it's fairly ring porous. It's very porous on the end grain, which is quite a contrast to the alder, which is very tight on the surface. It's a closed-grained wood alder.
Yeah, and
So,
I definitely wouldn't have done that on the face of the door.
Yeah.
But on the edge, a 1/4 inch oak, I was fine. So.
Yeah.
And now, like originally, the doors were done, and I was going to deliver them, and I started to think about how heavy those glass panels could be in my head, and I walked by that cabinet door in our kitchen that my father pulled apart, and I'm like, look, I don't want the 12-inch by 36-inch piece of glass falling out, and them calling me and saying, what the hell happened? So I decided that I was going to delay delivery of the project to reinforce with dowels. And I did, and I'm glad.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for how to keep your door from twisting?
Oh, I have had doors twist on me before.
Oh yeah, I've had it too.
Well, number one, make sure your wood's not going to twist on you.
Yes.
So dry, flat.
What is that?
What's that?
I was asking you what that means, and I think you kind of just explained it there. Dry and flat, acclimatized to your
acclimatized
environment.
Mill the sides evenly, things like that, and then make sure that So what people have to realize is that, let's say your cuts are a little bit off, okay?
No. Okay.
Depending on how you do your cuts, you will multiply that, that error will become additive, right? And so let's say you were doing like a planter box, like an 8-sided planter box. You have 16 cuts. If you're off on each one just by a little bit, they're going to add up. And so by the time you get to the end, instead of it being a flat planter box, it might spiral up. So your cuts have to be really, 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 really good.
You're talking about the compound error.
Yeah, the errors will compound. They will add up. Oh, I'm only off by 0.04. Well, you got 8 cuts. You're going to be off by a quarter. You're going to be off by 0.32 inches. And people say, well, that's not that much. Well, it's a 1/4 inch. You're screwed. Right? The other thing people need to realize, and this is true for anything where you're going angular. If you have something that's short, okay, like this, and you're off by some small amount of angle, the gap at 6 inches will be small, right?
You're talking about if you cut it 1/64 inch too short.
No, I'm talking about your if you get your angles wrong.
Okay.
The error magnifies over distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to point a laser, try and point a laser pointer at you over 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let's say I point a laser pointer at you at 10 yards, and I'm off by 1 degree, and then you back up 100 yards, it's going to be off even more, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
minutes, you hear a lot about this in target shooting, minutes of angle and things like that. And so if you have a small angular, so let's say when I first put that joint together, right at the joint it looks really tight, but at the other end of the 36-inch board, it might be raised up an inch, right? It's flat here and it's up an inch or two here because that angle was off just a tiny little bit. So you have to be your material has to be very well prepped. You have to check the setup of your tools to make sure that you're cutting well. The other thing is, don't forget what your reference faces and reference edges are, and make all your cuts and measurements off those. Because if you're going to make all your cuts to line up the front, then your front is a reference face. Don't use your back, even though you think you did a good job milling, and that everything's parallel and square and the equivalent thickness. Use all your reference edges and reference faces so that everything is coming off the same thing.
Yeah.
And then when you glue up, make sure you glue up everything where it's being held flat, and let it stay in the clamps for a while. And then, and these ones came out flat, flat, flat.
If I can expand on what you're saying there, Matt, when you glue up, also make sure it's sitting level and flat when you're gluing it up. If you glue it up and everything is good in the dry fit, and you have the clamps on, and your clamps are sitting on a scrap of wood in the corner, so it's twisting the whole frame because of the weight of the clamps. It's going to dry that way.
You know, the other thing is, I've seen guys who clamp up a panel and then set their clamps, instead of setting the thing flat down on the ground, they set it up on its edge.
Yep.
Well, for you guys who work in a garage shop, your garage floor is not level. By code, it slopes towards the front door. So you could instantly be introducing some kind of twist into it. The other thing is, even in your wood selection, if the wood is flat and dry and you mill it square, that's great. But if it's the kind of wood that as soon as moisture hits it, it's got so much figure or twist or knots,
stable.
It's over. It's over.
Well, can you see it's over, or is it just really a bad choice? I'm sure you can make it work, can't you?
You can, but like, let's say you're going to use some gnarly wood. Don't mill it and then make your door. Mill it and let it sit and see if it's stable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that wood, after you mill it, you're opening up, you're exposing fresh wood to the air, and places where there's knots and stuff, like, they will
different
curl
to transfer
all the time.
Yeah.
So
I want to show you guys a picture that I took in my shop a little while ago. Matt was talking about leaning up assemblies, and this is actually something I do that is you won't find in the books. I should actually submit it and win big money, win the grand prize. So here I am, I'm gluing up some drawer cases, some drawer boxes. And in this case, I've got my 4 clamps on there because I need 2 clamps to joint all the way top to bottom. These are just butt joints. I got my drawer bottom in there. And I had it sitting on a flat surface when I put the clamps on. What I noticed was that I had a bit of twist in my drawer. So I was setting down from the front along that front edge, then to the back edge. Had some twist in there. So what I did is I stood it on end and I leaned one corner of the clamp, which you see in the back corner, the back top corner there. Leaned it against something, a piece of plywood there, That was a high edge, and the weight of the clamps twisted the drawer box until I had those two aligned like that. I found that by having the drawer stand less upright, pulling the bottom away from the wall there, I was able to exert more downwards, more twisting pressure on the box so I can stand it up more and get less. And doing that, I got all straight, untwisted drawers, even though they didn't necessarily go together that way.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So the tool that I use that I really like now
Mm-hmm.
was the just a wooden folding rule
Okay.
to measure corner to corner, inside corner to inside corner to make sure they
Yep.
were square.
You've got a sliding part in that too, I guess?
Hmm?
You have a sliding part in that as well?
No, I just
Okay.
and it's literally like I think I got it at Lowe's,
Okay. Yep.
but I
Some of
really
those have a brass 6-inch sliding attachment or integral part to them.
yeah it might have it, but I didn't use it. It was perfect. Um, and I have an antique one somewhere that I couldn't find, but
Mhm.
it just was nice to be able to measure corner to corner and be able to stick it into the corner and not have the
The hook of the tape measure.
hook at the end
Yeah.
and not and know that it wasn't going to sag.
Okay. So this is for your square. You're just poking into the top of the box and top of the frame,
Yep.
and then reading across the top. So you're not sitting inside both corners.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, Matt, I noticed you didn't. You talked a bit about. I guess you did talk about grain. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know how many weeks ago it was, but I got another one of these emails from David Savage. His little email newsletter thing, and he's got all kinds of good stuff in it. Some of it's more interesting than other stuff, but this one I thought was particularly relevant. I don't know if you guys can read it on screen here. There's no online links, so I guess if you want a copy, I can email it to you if you send me your email address. I can do my best to blow it up here for you guys. Readable, Matt?
Yeah, it's readable.
Okay. So let me read it out here. What he's talking about, the subject is the greatest mistake in my woodworking career. He's got a whole bunch of I don't know, preliminary just introduction text about where he is here. He's talking about how he spent time with Alan Peters, furniture making master, doing a course, doing a small drawing. He was impressed with the hand tool work that Peters exhibited, and on and more like that. And then it gets towards the end. Alan Peters had stacks and stacks of different species of hardware. I'm starting right here. He poured money and time and energy into that resource because, like me, he didn't know whether he would be making a cathedral door or a jewelry box next. I saw this investment of time and money and thought, I won't do that. I will be smart and buy kiln-dried lumber material as and when I need it. When I know I need 12-foot ash boards for the cathedral door, I will go buy them. Big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, because of his resource of stacks of air-dried material, always had on hand, oak that cut like hard cheese, ash that would plane to finish from a blade. My mistake has been to condemn my makers to work with material that has been killed in the drying process. Kiln-dried stuff you have to fight with. You get there in the end, but it's a fight. It doesn't give you the results like air-dried stuff will if you just approach it properly with a sharp edge, knowledge, and respectful manner. And I don't know, how many woodworkers do you think have used air-dried lumber and kiln-dried lumber and understand the difference?
I don't think it's a lot because I think it's hard to find air dried lumber these days.
Yeah.
I don't know the lumber I bought for these doors. I don't know. I don't know if it was kiln dried, air dried. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No, the guy I bought it from didn't know.
Yeah. he doesn't know, I don't know, I might guess that it's kiln. I think most of the lumber is kiln dried out there. My partner in Time Warp Tourworks, Garth, was down in my shop once, and I gave him a piece of ash. He'd been working with ash for a long time. He's got lots of ash. He bought a whole skid of ash, a whole pallet of ash, 4-quarter ash, and it was all kiln dried. And he thought he knew ash. So, but I had this one piece that looked nice, and I was throwing it out because it was my scrap bin. So he said, "Hey, can I have this?" So I said, "Sure." So he took it back home and got a phone call from him later that week, and he said, "Chris, what is this wood? This isn't ash." I said, "Yeah, it's ash. It's ash. Why do you ask? Why are you so sure that it's not ash?" He says, "Well, I know ash. I've been working with ash for all this time. I've used it lots. I've hand planed it lots. I've cut it on machines. This stuff you gave me, it isn't ash. It doesn't work like ash. Ash is brittle and hard, and it's tough to work. And this stuff is like butter." And I said, "Well, oh, okay, yeah. This stuff's air dried. I think your stuff is kiln dried, isn't it?"
Yeah.
So it's really incredible the difference between air dried and kiln dried, and you can avoid other problems like case hardening and I guess you could, yeah. I guess the problems can go both ways.
Have you ever had a board pop on you, a case hardened board?
No, I have not. Not pop. I've had some spring apart where if you're at the table saw and doing a cut, by the time I got to the end of the cut, I had like a 3-inch gap between my kerf was. My kerf was 2 or 3 inches wide because it spread apart that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a case hardened board pop.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded like somebody took a big piece of wood and slammed it down onto my table saw.
And what was the result of that?
I turned off the saw and I took the piece to the bandsaw.
Yeah, it didn't kick back or anything. It just sprung open or something.
No, I think I felt it push back on my hand a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
But it didn't. Like maybe raise. You know how sometimes it'll go through and it'll raise.
Yep.
And I heard that noise and I turned that sucker off.
Yep.
And it was perfectly milled, so it wasn't like it was curved. But after it popped, it was curved, and I couldn't use the piece. Had to be all remilled. So it was milled for a different project after that. It did not make me. And then I was like, at first I was like, what was that? And then I was like, I think that's that case hardening thing I've heard about.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you hear about these things, but you don't realize that they're when they happen to you, you don't realize that they've happened yet.
What it is, yeah. I've seen it with plywood too. I don't know if it's called case hardening. I guess that it's not. But I was doing a cut on table saw, the circular saw or something, on a piece of 3/8-inch sheathing, and it was about an 8-foot long cut. And by the time I got done that cut, I think I had about 8 or 12 inches open at the end where I began.
See, was that Chinese plywood?
Probably. No, just cheap 3/8-inch sheathing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it was Matt Vanderlist had a piece of metal fly out of a.
Oh, jeez.
When he was cutting Chinese plywood, a piece of metal flew out.
Yeah.
That's not very good. You don't want that.
Nope.
So you want to talk about the Woodchat design game?
Sure. I haven't seen any of the other designs come through, so we'll go with this one here. This is our inspiration picture that we started with here. This one was submitted to the Reddit Picture Inspiration Contest, which we hosted last month on Reddit, the woodworking section there. And this was the winning entry. It's a little valet based on Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. Pretty cool design. It's got a cantilever here. So this top tray is supported only by the 2 points here. And he's got a couple of drawers coming out there. I kind of like the drawers coming out there. I was kind of thinking of some kind of cabinet with drawers coming out every which way.
Mm-hmm.
And yet avoiding that just because I was having a hard time coming up with something to do based on that. So let's get back out of there. And now my design I've hidden over here. End of August, so school's back in. So I came up with, you know, those classic school desks where you got the desk attached to the seat by that metal bar?
Yeah.
One piece, you just drag it around. I kind of thought I'd redesign that there. So this is what I've got here. So I like curves, apparently.
Don't lean back.
Yeah. Well, you can lean back. Just don't. You could probably do some sit-ups there. I kind of like that it's open because you can lean back. You've got a something of a leg rest here for your calves, I guess, or your thighs, or your, I don't know. Get your feet resting right at the bottom here. You can sit on the top there. You can shift your weight around and move around a bit. You're not limited to that one upright position. You got a bit more room, and you can lean back if you want. This, I would imagine, would be a bent lamination of plywood, and I've got one upright which would probably be bolted through the bottom, and then my desk, which is bolted to that upright there, and I got some quill book and a pencil on there to give you an idea of scale. I was trying to tweak that here just before the show. I didn't get a time to finish my other drawing, but I drawn it with more of a upright and angular back, and I had a little ledge so you can put a book or something there, and I'm sure you can put a backpack underneath there too or something.
So do any of the parts in the original design swing?
I do not believe so. The drawers slide and that's it.
They slide, but they don't swing out.
Mm-hmm.
What would you make that out of?
I'd probably use birch ply or veneer for the curved section, and so that'd be a light color. Birch tone is quite light, and I think I'd go dark for this upright piece here, and then I might go back to light, maybe back to birch plywood for this here. It's tapered, or it could be just a single thickness, called 5/8 thickness desktop with two pieces of banding on each side, which would give it some additional strength. Maybe one along the front too, or maybe frame that panel in all the way.
How would you make sure that desk was on there strong so that it wouldn't pop off? Would you use metal?
Yeah, I think I'd run some bolts into the frame here. I've got 2 bolts drawn here. This one doesn't actually go into anything. Minor details, right? A little bracket under here would help too, just an L bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Or else you could run tension rod across diagonal too. That'd do a pretty good job there. Actually, even just a lap joint, some really solid joint, something more solid than like a stub tenon reinforced with a couple of dowels would be good there, I think, Matt. No reaction.
I would maybe think about it would be cool if you could swing the desk out of the way.
Okay, swing it up or swing it to the right?
Oh, I didn't think about up. Up would work.
Up would be really simple because then you just have a round hinge here, and it would have a positive downward stop.
Just make sure you don't pinch fingers.
Yeah. Well, the problem with swinging it outwards is it's in the way of somebody else as soon as you move it, right? If it's in a classroom setting.
I like it though. It's got a large footprint on the floor.
Yeah, it does. And I like how the curved form gives you some freedom regarding your position. Although I
Hmm.
haven't sat in a chair with a curved form like that, I can imagine that it would be like that. If anybody has any questions, comments, or suggestions on my design, I'd love to hear them. You can drop them into Twitter, #Woodchat.
Is your Twitter updating slow?
Mm, I don't think so. Um,
Oh, wait, never mind. There it is.
yeah, DME commented that he only gets kiln dried on Long Island. It's hard to get any hardwood um, at all. I found some interesting stuff over. Are we done talking about this picture inspiration, Matt?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Actually, we need to pick a picture. Let's do that right now. Um, I know that our friend Andrew sent us another food picture. He sent us the one with the steak on the plate last time. This time he sent us what was it, Matt? A turkey?
Yeah, it looks like a big roast turkey that might be a little bit burned.
Yeah. I don't know. As good as that turkey looks, I'm not sure. I'm not really jumping to use it as a Woodchat
No.
picture inspiration. Um, I submitted a picture a little while ago, a couple days ago. I'm going to send it out again here. Let's see. So it's a staircase.
Do you have it to screen share yet?
Yes, I do. There's a link also in Twitter for anyone who wants to have a look at themselves. I'm not sure if I've seen this before, but I just found it again, or I just found it. I don't know. What do you guys think? I like how the stairs from the top go down and then over. It fills the space really well, I feel.
It's pretty cool.
Got some cool lines and I'm not sure what
Well, let's see, the stair, I guess it's the third stair up in this picture,
Mhm.
starts to create the railing and goes up and creates
Yeah,
the upper
that'd
part
be
of
the
the
fourth
stair.
step actually.
That's pretty cool. I wouldn't want any movers moving a fridge up that or anything. I would just absolutely just,
That'd be scary.
yeah. All right, so now I've got the link. Gotcha. Okay, so it's the fourth stair up. It's the fourth stair, but then it goes up and it also looks like it's like the last stair because that goes around the corner. I would really like to see the corner, how they turn the corner.
Let's visit the site and see what they have to show there. I think this top picture might show you what you want to see here once I can scroll.
Yeah, I went to the original site.
Okay.
That looks fun to build.
Um, so they've got some joints in here, so they're not doing a single piece. I'm not sure what kind of joinery they have in there, Matt.
Yeah, I can see that in the on the original site.
Hmm.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a big slot and a mortise.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can zoom on that sucker. Oh, don't do that to me. It just messed itself up. Come on.
This is their prototype here that you're seeing here. Their development model. So it appears that they've got steps all the way up and they're just a horizontal platform, and then stairs continue up to the next level in their development model. I don't think they carry that on into the actual model, though.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another one here. They've got curved stairs going the other way. That's a rendering. I've seen some really cool staircases. This is definitely one of them. Yeah, we're into other stuff now. Okay.
I like it. Is that our picture?
I'm suggesting that one as one. I know you had an idea as well, Matt.
Yeah, so the one
Hopefully
I
you can come
thought
to some
of,
kind of diplomatic decision.
here's the one I thought of. A pile of coins.
Wow. Do you have any ideas for that, Matt?
No.
You want to see what we come up with, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, no. Now I have an idea. Now I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I have an idea.
I'll have to look at that one for a while. I don't think I've been stumped yet, but that one... Oh, I'll come up with something, but that one looks difficult. Okay. Let's do two, Matt. Let's set up two pictures and
Okay?
pick and choose, or take both if you want, or... Yeah, we're easy here at Woodchat. Whatever you want to do, we're cool with it. So, this is
I'll
the
tweet
official
mine right
word.
now.
We are going to go with the coins picture provided by Matt and the staircase picture that I provided for picture inspiration next week. I will have them uploaded onto my website shortly. And that's flairwoodworks.com. Look for the picture inspiration link in the menu, and that will take you there. Right at the bottom of the page, you'll find the current inspiration pictures.
Where did it go? There it goes.
So, Matt, if you can tweet that picture. I want to show you guys something else cool that I found. Hands up if you use sandpaper in your work. Yeah, that's me. Hands up if you use sandpaper as part of your work. Yeah, that's none of you. So, there's a whole series of this stuff here. What you're looking at is a table here. It's got a base, and the surface of this table is actually sandpaper.
What?
So he turned around the donut on his lathe and then applied sandpaper to the face. And to get all the rings of color, he held different blocks of wood, different sizes, against that spinning on his lathe, and let the dust of the wood color the sandpaper. So he's got call it wenge for the dark, and he's got
Oh, gotcha.
rosewood for the red, and I don't know, canary wood for the yellow, and I thought it was a pretty cool design. Looks kind of
How did he
planetary.
seal in the? Did he then like seal in the dust somehow?
I'm not sure about that part.
I'd hate for the cleaning lady to come along.
Vacuum it up. There's an article a little while ago about the cleaning staff who cleaned up a work of art. There was like an LJ or a drip. They had some kind of drip system set up. It was dripping water or some kind of bacteria or algae, and it was spreading across or something and creating this organic piece of art, and someone cleaned it up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how like things get invented too, though.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's basically just like a gigantic disc sander
Yep.
with stuff on it
Yep.
mounted on a table. I would. Oh, I hope maybe there's glass on it so that you can set things in the middle.
I don't know about that.
Hmm.
Okay. So, shall we wrap it up, Matt?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Okay. You can have the honors, Matt. You can have the honors.
Thank you. Hey, everybody, that was Woodchat for August 20th, 2014. We talked about cope and stick, rail and style, whatever you want to call kitchen cabinet doors, and
Door construction, frame and panel door construction.
making those, and all the different problems you can encounter, and how to get those to work out well. We also talked about the Woodchat picture inspiration design game, and we saw Chris's design based off of the Reddit contest winners winning submission. We have 2 pictures for next week. I'm sure Chris will have those on FlairWoodworks.com here pretty soon.
Yep.
A pile of coins and a very interesting staircase in an apartment in Mumbai. So we do Woodchat every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time, but also 24/7 over on Twitter with #Woodchat. So follow along on Twitter. If you have any questions or you want to participate in the picture inspiration design game, go ahead. And if you want to get caught up on any of the previous design games, they're all up on Chris's website at FlairWoodworks.com. Over to you, Chris.
I think, Matt, you said it all. If you come up with a design based on either of these 2 images, you can share them with us on Twitter. You can email them directly to me, Chris at FlairWoodworks.com, and I will be happy to share them with you and everybody else who's a part of Woodchat next week.
Right on.
We'll see you then.
All right, everybody. Night-night.
Good night.